Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, and as Kenny Powers used to say, konnichiwa bitches. All right, I got some time to spare, so do you apparently. So let's compare some watches, couple of new releases here, and a couple of old favorites. Or if you prefer, we could talk about this home furnished set Hello Kitty special. Let's start with the watches first. This video is sponsored by a strong 9% alcohol. When you don't want to look like an old drunk drinking beer in the train in Hong Kong, you just pick this up. Looks like you're drinking a juice, but it feels good faster than beer. All right, all right, all right. So yesterday I picked up the Captain Willard. Actually, it comes in 42 millimeter. What a great move by Seiko not to make it a huge monster diver like the SLA 033. Beautiful Grand Seiko spec almost. Recreation of the original 6105. Really enjoyed it so much. I wore it all night. Accuracies, it seems to be running a bit slow. That's the problem with Seiko. You're never quite getting the top stuff. I mean, this is $1,000, so you can't really ask a Tudor level of accuracy, but at least you get 70 hours of power reserve with the 6R35. So loving the watch. Bracelet, I think, is beautiful. The tolerances are not as tight as bracelets from Omega, but at least the look is there, and that handling is absolutely well machined, gorgeous. Solid and link. Now, the one thing I don't like about the watch is the noise, the rattle from the clasp. The clasp actually is nicer than the older clasps, and interesting design here at the back. But when you have it on the wrist at night, you really hear that bloody rattle. Apart from that, I mean, anyway, it's a watch that you kind of want to put on tropic strap. So I'm gonna experiment maybe just a NATO for the summer. Keep it nice and tight on the wrist, but otherwise this watch is really gorgeous. The clasp actually looks quite good, and it's a nice counterbalance because it's a fairly big heavy watch. The will be I'm not sure you can actually take out the diver's extension, but actually it looks quite good, and it's a nice fit at the bottom of the wrist. The thing is, I have very flat wrists, so your mileage may vary. We're just talking about that with a friend of mine, that he's very strong, so he's shorter than me, but we have the same wrist size, and yet watches don't fit on him the same way as they fit on me. Having a flat wrist is a great advantage because most of these watches are gonna fit better. So yeah. Anyway, this watch, lovely. Love the sort of the reflection on the sapphire there of the minute track, as I mentioned yesterday. And I brought my Sea Dweller 4000, the big gun, the 90,000 Hong Kong dollar. So that would be 12, 13,000 US, 12,000 US. I think I paid for this one, a bit less than that. These This is the best, to me, the best diver because it's 40 millimeters, wears very petite, lovely case. You have most of the modern upgrades apart from the new movement with 70 hours of power reserve, but who cares? This is such a great watch. I just love it to death. Amazing. But I gotta say, the Seiko doesn't look bad in comparison. Of course, it doesn't have the white gold, doesn't have the ceramic insert. I think they could have, but maybe it was a choice to go with a more vintage style aluminium. With a ceramic, it would have really popped. What you get with the Seiko, and that's what I like about this lower price point, is that it still has the coolness of the brand, this original design that you don't find in any other brand. So 1,000 US with a good movement, 70 hours of power reserve, that super cool lollipop, seconds hand. As I said yesterday, amazing bezel. The action feels so smooth compared to the older Seiko bezel. Well, it's not that old, but here's the King Turtle. A lot more rough. It's not bad. I like it, but it's more rough. Obviously, the top dog. Oh yeah, that noise. Let me put it next to the microphone. I mean that is the ultimate action. But the feel of this Captain Willard, it doesn't have an audible click, but the feel is very smooth. I really enjoy it. So what else can I say? I thought the King Turtle was it, but I gotta say this one brings in all that vintage flavor, a good movement. I mean, there's something to say though about the 4R movements. I always thought the 6R was the higher grade, and it was very accurate in my Saab 033, 035. But my 4Rs have been amazingly accurate in my Samurai, and this one is performing really well. It's only been one day. Let's give it a chance for a few more days. Seems to be running a bit slow. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's really gorgeous. Beautiful bracelet here. Too bad for the clasp. I don't know why they can't get the tolerances a bit tighter to avoid all that noise. Because at night, really, that's gonna that's gonna rattle. Moving on, Tudor versus Tudor, the blue versus the black. Have you guys seen the video from Adrian at Bark and Jack? Usually, I don't watch all his videos, but I can't believe that he noticed a difference in shade between the steel of the blue and the black. And he's right. I didn't even know there were different shades of steel. I would never even think about it. But the black is darker. And in person, it shows even more than on video. It is really darker and marries actually better with the theme of the watch. I'm just flabbergasted by this discovery. Well done there, Adrian. You're the first one to mention it. It's absolutely true. So which one to get? Man, I'm in love with both. When I want a more vintage flavor, I get this one. When I'm on a bit more pop, something a bit more fresh. Really, that's the word. It's really fresh, to use a bit of a hip word, or maybe it was hip 10 years ago. I would go for the blue. The blue has a very simple colorway. It's just that great blue and steel, which is going to actually blend better with anything you wear. I mean, whether you wear black or brown, it's going to wear great. Actually, I find this one more forgiving with anything you wear, and it looks amazing if you have jeans and a white t-shirt. While the problem with the original Black BB58, not a big problem, but the dial is faded, so it's not actually black. And then you have those gilt colors, the bit of red. It's not going to marry well with many outfits, and it's not quite black, so it's not the pitch black of the Rolex, which goes with any suit. So actually, I don't find it wearing that well with business wear. And when you wear it casual, sometimes it clashes with the color. So sorry to be such a fashionista here, but we wear these more in casual circumstances than in actual sporting events, going diving. So it's worth mentioning because we want to wear these watches every day. So which one between those two? Frankly, they're both amazing. I find the colorway easier to wear on the blue, contrary to what other people have mentioned. And it's just a brand new one, so it's kind of cool to have it. But really, what's really cool is that the Smurf, the white gold Submariner from Rolex, is just so expensive. Everybody wanted the steel, and it's so clever that Tudor did it instead of Rolex. Rolex can't do it. They have to protect the value of their watches. So the customers who bought the Smurf would be really pissed off if the exact same watch came in steel. You can barely tell the difference. In person, you can tell the shine of the white gold, but the steel is better because the white gold is going to scratch and dent so easily. But so Tudor got the job done, and wonderfully so. And sorry, ID guy, I love your videos, but I think you're wrong saying that Tudor did a beautiful release, but should have made it look more like the the Submariners. That's not what they're doing with this Black BB58. They're doing a new watch. If they had done it exactly like Submariner, people would complain just the same. Those squarish indices, you can find them on the Pelagos. The Pelagos is the modern Submariner of Tudor. This is something else. And actually, the mock-up he did visually of I'm referencing the ID Guy video he did yesterday. Great channel, of course. The mock-up he did with the square indices actually looks too cluttered for me, because it's a fairly petite watch at 39 millimeters. I prefer this. I prefer to have something original that's not trying to be what Longines does with their heritage line being exactly a copy of the old ones. I mean, here Tudor gives you a brand new manufacturer movement. You know how much that cost. They have to bank on that and bring in different flavors. And I think that they really did so well not to put the gilt accents on this one. Fantastic to have both. To me, impossible to resist having both. Which one should you get first? Honestly, doesn't matter. Now, Tudor Black BB58 or Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra Blue Dial 38.5 millimeters. Gonna look different, wear different, because there's no bezel and you have the twisted lugs. In general, in short, I think the Omega feels more modern, and everyone tends to prefer the more classic look of the oyster case. And you have obviously the quick timer function with this with the bezel, which feels so good, by the way. Great loom, longer power reserve, better accuracy than the coaxial. Sorry, Omega, you spent billions on it, but that's just how it is. Tudor with a brand new movement smokes Omega in terms of accuracy. The COSC, 200 meters of power reserve, and just a great, very recognizable look. Now, Omega in itself is just a perfect one watch. You get the date, you get a travel function whereby you can move the hour hand independently of the rest without stopping the watch. I'll demonstrate here. There you go. So it's easy to travel with. You get 150 meters of water resistance. The thing is, to accommodate the coaxial escapement, they had to reduce the beat rate. So there's you don't have such a smooth action of the second hand as on the 4 Hertz movements here. The loom is poorly applied. You barely see anything on the hour hand, and the minute hand, you only have loom at the tip, so it gets mixed up with the indices. Beautiful movement, machined, finished, but nevertheless beautiful arabesque, and amagnetic. But you get a silicone technology on the hairspring here, so pretty amagnetic as well in that regard. Obviously, the case here is a lot more work. It's a lot more original. I think it's the Aqua Terra stands on its own. It's not a vintage this reissue of that. Undeniably, it's a unique watch. While here you're more into the vintage style. Including those rivets, which don't bother me at all. I never notice them when I wear the watch. And, it's just people make a big fuss about it. It's just a flourish, just like the crown, just like, well, everything is a flourish, how the links are designed, that little bevel. Some are more acceptable than others, apparently, but frankly, who cares? Doesn't bother me one bit. The bracelet is much nicer here on the Omega. The construction is just built like a tank. You have, by the way, a diver's extension if you needed it. So it really straddles the line better between the dress watch with the polished links and the tool watch. You can't go wrong, Do I need to say it? Fantastic watch. I prefer the Tudor, maybe because it's brand new. But you need to scratch that itch with the Aqua Terra, and the new one in green with the horizontal pattern is beautiful. So maybe that's the one. I'd love to get my hands on the world timer that just came out. It's a bit bigger, I think 42 millimeters. So with the laser etched world map, gonna be amazing. but yeah, impossible to get my hands on it. And again, Omega, I was ranting about brands releasing watches that are not available, and Omega is becoming a master of it, and but it doesn't play to their advantage like it does to Rolex and Tudor. People are going to wait and pay premium for Rolex and Tudor, but not for Omega. So Omega, you got the factories, just bring out the goods. Don't release that world time Aqua Terra and or announce it, and then don't make it available unless you have a problem in production. Pandemic aside, of course. So which one would I choose if I had to choose again, if I didn't have both already? I paid less for this one and this one, but this one I get it new, this one I get it used, full set. Very, very sturdy. Both are great. I prefer the movement on the Tudor. I prefer the vintage vibe. I get a bit tired of the Aqua Terra at times, but I can't really get rid of it because I know it's such a good watch, and I can give it to one of my kids and they're just gonna wear it for life. Omega is it's top of the line in the sports genre. It's just excellent manufacturer. What's the point of selling it unless I get a different Omega, different Aqua Terra? Hard to tell. If I had to choose right now, I would take the Tudor. But yeah, no offense if you have the Omega. Fantastic watches. Last watch I had here is this one. Actually, I showed it when I talked about the new Capt Willard. So that's my latest acquisition, my latest squeeze. I just love looking at it, and it shows that you can have pleasure at different price points with different brands, and it's the same pleasure. Wristwatches, doesn't have to cost a fortune, but the ultimate watch, the big daddy is this one. When you have this, you just don't ask yourself any question because you have the very best. My colleague wants to get the new one, the red line, so the Sea Dweller 43 millimeters. He's ready to pay a premium, which is about 15 to 20% on it. I'm telling him, don't do it because they're quite big, so it restricts the market, especially in Asia. But he seems to be convinced that it's a good idea to buy a production model at a premium. I'm just trying to tell him, first go speak to a few of these. You never know. You never know. They might, if you tell them it's your one and done watch, because he doesn't buy watches at all. Maybe they'll do you a favor. But yeah, too bad about the Rolex situation. Speaking about Rolex, I thought July would be the month, but apparently September will be the new releases. Can't wait to see what they're gonna do. I'm thinking Jubilee bracelet, two-tone, black and yellow gold, GMT. I'm thinking maybe two-tone Milgauss. Let's see if that happens. Any questions, put them in the comments. And we're running out of time to talk about the home furnished set Hello Kitty, but let me tell you that my daughter is really enjoying it and doesn't really let me play with it all that much. So I have to have my fun with the watches. All right, guys, 20 minutes. That's enough of my rambling. Bye-bye.